Welcome back to another Mr.G's EV Hangout. This is what an amazing crew. It's a night where we get together with some of the electric vehicle conversion players, and we bring in guests to highlight their programs and projects and what they're working on. As you know, we have some regulars in the house, but also I should let you know that this is sponsored by Mr.G's Workshop. I offer classes on welding, and we also have classes on electric vehicle conversion here in New Jersey, but also in California there's the EVLC, and they offer classes on how to convert your car. Plus we got some great people in the house that have some products and services. We're all rising tide lifts all boats. Brandon Watt of Switch Lab is here. We also have Kevin Lieberman is volunteer working with the EVLC. We got Charge Positive Talik. How you doing, Talik?
Hey, what's going on, Mr. G?
All right. And we got Sarah Lyons is building a company, and she's doing a really cool project with Suzuki's. And we got Jonathan Knight. Tyler Joy's here, and Terry's about to join from Ohm on the Range. So pretty cool players in the house. You guys, I respect everybody's work here, and I love collaborating with you guys. But tonight's guest is Anthony. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to be on with you guys.
All right. I have to tell you how I met Anthony. This is like crazy. So, you know, if you're an East Coast snowboarder, okay, you cannot mess around with the weather. It's basically ice, like most of the time. And then what happened is I was on my way up to go to the ski slopes because it was like gonna snow, right? It's like gonna snow. And so you got to get ahead of it. So on my way up there, I'm looking around at the possible charging scenarios because I'm driving a Tesla. And one of the possible scenarios, because you're going to kill time at the charger anyway. And one of the possible scenarios was this. And there's this like barn with like an old gas station. And I was like, what is that? And it's free charging. And I was like, oh, you know what? This looks interesting. It's called New York State Solar Farm. I was like, dude, I want to see a New York State solar farm. So I'm like, okay, let's go see this, right? So I cruise on over. I knock on the door, and I'm like, is this really what it's supposed to be? And I walk in, and then boom, there's this guy, Anthony. And he's like, yeah, dude, free charging, bro. I'm like, what? So Anthony, please tell us, what is this crazy thing? Why do you have an old gas station? And how why do you give free charging?
So it was crazy that night that you stopped by. It was like later on a Friday night. I'm there with my wife, our newborn baby of 2.5 months, and we have guys coming into our office because we have just the weekend to repaint our office because everyone's coming back to work on Monday. So Ron's coming in like after hours, so excited, like the most excited guy that's ever charged at our location. And I'm like, is this guy crazy, or is he like really happy and into EVs? Am I going to get shot? What's going on here? And then we just started talking, and it was just it was crazy, the connection that we had, and just the interests and curiosities that we both have. But that's our solar design center. That used to be a gas station that actually contaminated the entire corner. So that was like they had 2 monster gas tanks in the ground there that spilled. So we took that corner over and just cleaned it up. That building was condemned. And as we were cracking that building apart, and believe it or not, that's a historic building, so we couldn't knock it down. We had to rebuild within the footprint that was there. And we started to break the foundation apart while keeping the walls up, and we found horseshoes. So
no way.
Yeah, it was actually a farrier shop from back in the day, and the town historian shared photos with me that it was a farrier shop. Then it went through different iterations. Then it was a gas station, and now it's a solar car charging station, as well as our office where we help people go residential solar and battery storage. So yeah, it kind of went through the full energy evolution, and you stopping by on a Friday night on your way to go snowboarding was just hysterical, because then I'm like having sushi dinner right after that at like 9 o'clock. And then you're texting me the YouTube video of Out of Spec that you guys had with Kyle that came there, which I watch almost all their videos and go down that rabbit hole, and then stumbling across on the electric powered ice cream truck from back in the a while back from the other solar company that hired someone that know to build that truck.
Yeah, Rob Ida.
Yeah, and but our whole office is solar powered, so we have Maxeon sun power panels on the back of the office. We have 3-phase with a high leg there, so the utility made us have like a balanced configuration with our inverters on the back, and yeah, that's our little office there. So it's
that is super cool. I mean, just think about it. Like they were the transportation, energy transportation. So like you started with, well, not you, but they started with horses, which made sense.
Yeah. And
gas vehicles. And listen, a lot of people think that if you're into EVs, you're like anti-gas vehicle. No, I just have a motorcycle. I raced quads one time. I've worked on cars. What's it called? I'm a huge fan of like the Corvair. We got Terry's in the house. He's got a Corvair. They have, gas vehicles are interesting. To me, it's power mechanics. What are you going to do? Okay, you're going to feed the horse. Then you got to train a horse. You got to maintain it. You got to put shoes on it, right? This is power mechanics, right? Okay, now we're doing gas. Okay, we're doing gas. We do gas for like 100 years. Yeah. Okay, and now we're doing solar. And now you're fueling my vehicle from the sun, right? Incredible. Amazing story.
And the day you came, actually, we just installed, I got a Ford Lightning, which I've been loving it, and actually delivered Powerwalls to our job site yesterday, which was awesome with that. And we wound up putting the Ford Lightning charger out front as well. So now every type of EV can come there, charge. If you have your adapter, you could plug into whatever. Everything's on 60 amp breakers and 40 amp breakers, because we still have a smaller service there. We're not a 400 amp service, even though we should be bigger with, having a 3-phase line there. But yeah, definitely anytime you guys want to stop by and hang out, and you came into our showroom, you were checking out the Powerwall 3 that we had lying on the ground there that I just made a video on like the day before. So everything was in pieces on the ground in there. And we have all AstroTurf, and so it's just a cool environment that we like to work in and have our team in there.
So you mentioned,
go ahead, Talik.
You mentioned you had the Ford charger. Is that the bi-directional one for the Lightning?
No, it's just the regular charger.
So that's a J1772. And then, so how many vehicles can you charge at one time if I want to stop by?
Four vehicles we could charge.
Okay.
Yeah. 3 Tesla chargers, and then the Ford charger.
And my follow-up question is, do you have any plans for any DC fast charging at your site?
So there is no set plans, but it's definitely in my mental plans, because I've been trying to figure out a way to maybe do a little carport and some DC fast charging there. The utility that we're in is Central Hudson Gas and Electric. So they've come out with different programs that they kind of share the cost in infrastructure for it. But you still have to, lay everything out, and you handle the build out and everything of it. So I'm definitely checking it out, and it's in the future. In the near term, what we're doing is we're actually upgrading our solar system there. Right now we have 360 sun power panels on the back with 3 SMA inverters. We're actually taking that whole system down, and we're putting 415 watt Maxeon panels up on the front and the back. Everyone's like, you're a solar company, we never know what you do, because on the front road is our north facing roof. So we didn't put panels there, but just so people could see solar, and while they're charging up, see the panels, and they'll produce a little bit, not as much as the back roof, but we're gonna put a bigger PV system on the entire place. It should be around like 22 kW that we have on our office in the next probably month or so.
Nice. Are any of those bifacial? I saw this video where someone who lives in a farm where they have snow, they actually get more average output of a bifacial panel mounted vertically because the snow reflection. So I don't know if, like, in your front yard, it would be cool to have a bifacial panel for advertising as well as showing how well it works with the snow reflection.
That would be pretty sweet. In our showroom, we have bifacial panels as desks because there was a company in New Paltz. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they were called Prism Technologies, where they did all bifacial manufacturing of panels. We have 40 of them because we were going to build a carport in the front of our office until we realized that there was a gas line running in the front of it. So we have those on standby for when we need them, but no plans to use the bifacial panels just yet. Actually, what I called up, I was talking with our electrician, and I said, what can we do to actually turn our office single phase so we could put power walls here and use them for demonstrating purposes? And we're on the middle of an intersection where there's a tremendous amount of accidents where we'll lose power, not for long, but if we could have like 100% uptime when something happens or something's needed, it would be pretty awesome. And the cops and everyone always come to us for our camera footage when those incidents happen. So if we're backed up and we're always good to go, that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now, how we could do that.
Have you heard of a company called Beam for All Solar?
It sounds familiar, but not off the top of my head. No.
Well, the reason I'm thinking about it is that it's a company that you can, well, San Diego based, so yay San Diego. But it's they have a giant steel plate the size of a parking space, and then a pole, and then batteries and solar. So it's a completely off-grid solar charging solution that you can install without needing any permits. All you do is they drop it in, it sits in a parking spot, and it has a solar tracker, so it maximizes the panels, and it can charge basically 1 to 2 cars a day off of it. So if you maybe you could make your own, or I know people get grants, like New York State has some grants to buy those, but that would be a way to fill out your parking lot and have it not be needing permits for your gas lines.
That's definitely an option to check out for sure. And we actually, the issue that we faced was not so much was when we're having to do the footings for the carport that we were going to hit it. But if what you're talking about is more of like a ballasted solution that's in the driveway or in the back parking lot, that's definitely cool. I'll for sure check that out.
Yeah, cool.
Nice. So let me just go around the room real quick. Brandon, do you do anything with solar panels in your program?
No, we do not. I actually had quite a few questions for Anthony, and like seeing how this would be a super easy pivot for Switch. We've looked into it in the past. We've never gotten serious, but it's something I definitely want to get serious about. How small can you get? Like, could you fit a panel on the back of this vehicle? There's like a little triangle panel on the very back. It's probably like 3 feet by 4 feet. Like that would be a really cool project where we could actually have students install a mini solar panel on the vehicle and actually have it charge the battery. I didn't know how small you guys got or how thin they got, but like obviously it wouldn't be anything reasonable for like actually commercial use, but it just teaches the students the basics of solar panels, inverters, and how they can use that to also charge an EV.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, you're more than welcome to come to our warehouse at any time because we have a boneyard of solar panels there that are just, deserted from homes we've taken them off of, or ones that were just ones or twos that we have extra there. SunPower made their flexible panel back in the day. That might be something, but for sure, there's a pretty cool program that we worked with. It's called the Solar Sal, if you looked it up, Ron. But it's a solar powered boat that goes out of the Hudson River Maritime Museum. And this guy is always looking for the most efficient panels for his boats, his battery powered boats. And we supply him with the panels. So we work together. Whatever I get the panels for at cost, I always just pass them off to him or donate them if I can. And it's always such a pretty sick collaboration. And this year they're having a festival at the Maritime Museum where we're actually putting solar on their boat school. We put solar on the museum probably almost 8 years ago. And now they're doing a boat school, which is an old restaurant, like an old taco restaurant that they converted. And it's absolutely amazing if you guys are ever up in Sorgades to check it out. but they're giving solar powered boat tours now to the lighthouse at the end of the right where the Hudson River is. And we supplied them with a 360 Maxeon panel. And I know, Ron, we were talking at the office because I kind of geek out on panels a little bit. Just in when you're doing solar, everyone just thinks solar, but when we're talking about like an efficient panel and having those backside contacts that we use, we're technology agnostic. We could use any panel, but for instance, that guy with the solar sailboat, he wants the 360 Maxeon panel because it's just the most power per square foot. It's the same one that was on the Solar Impulse that we were talking about that flew around the world and that we saw at JFK together. So yeah, just some cool projects to be part of because solar is boring at times. You're doing grid tied systems, and I'm always looking for just projects that inspire me, get me fired up. And it's always been things like you're doing with the car, things like he's doing with the boat at the Maritime Museum, and power walls and backup battery for homes. Those are always like things that keep me up at night.
Do you guys offer training with yours, like education or anything, or are you guys just a distributor of like equipment?
We do installing, so we kind of install and supply the equipment. We do fire training at our office, so like the fire department will come in here and there. My master electrician that works with me, he does training at the BOCES and different things like that. So I took classes there back in the day when he was teaching, and got the opportunity to work together with him. So yeah, we do some different kind of trainings. And if someone comes in and they're like, hey, we want to just know about how to shut a system off in an emergency or just how solar works, for sure, we'll definitely put something on.
Okay, awesome.
Nice. Yeah, Brandon, come out here, man. We'll go snowboarding if you come in the winter.
Yeah, I'll convince my boss to fly me across the country to go hang out. But if I'm ever out there, I'm definitely going to stop by.
Well,
that's
so
really awesome.
there is a switch vehicle in Bergen County, New Jersey, right next to Teterboro Airport. That's the one that I worked on with Bergen County Technical Schools. Eric is the teacher there. He's pretty cool. Maybe they buy another training cart from you, come out, do some training, and then we'll head upstate. He's only, Anthony and New York State Solar is only about maybe 2 hours, maybe or maybe 3.
Okay, super close.
Yeah,
Ron, if you can get me a sale, I'm for sure gonna fly out.
Okay. Nice.
Gonna be a repair job, not a sale, but yeah.
Nice. So, if anybody's got other questions, let's see. Does anybody else work with solar panels that has a question and wants to jump in? Okay. All right, no problem. So, what's that? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I got pulled away because Spicer stopped by and I wanted to show him this before he left. So,
Yep.
My friend just sent me a picture of a smashed panel, and he's like, "Is this thing still usable?" Like the glass got broken in shipping, and I'm like, "I think it's laminated. I think the solar business is laminated to the glass."
Yeah, all the broken panels we see are always like still working. They're still usable, even though the glass is just smashed. I can't tell you how many people back into their ground mounts with tractors and how many trees fall on systems and they're still working. It's absolutely insane. Those panels are just like literally bulletproof in some instances. But yeah, I bet if you did the open circuit voltage on that panel, it's still producing.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
100%. We had some broken panels from shipping from the Taylorville project last summer. In Taylorville, Illinois, we installed solar panels on a job site trailer for a teacher that builds houses. There's no shop class. Now, if you look here, you can see this is a good panel, but then right next to it is all the cracked, kind of like an automotive style where it like breaks and not in big shards, like a safety glass.
Yeah.
Dude, this thing cranked. It had the full, I don't know how many volts it was, but it was full on, and we just didn't use them, but because we weren't sure. But dude, this thing cranked.
My concern is it's not waterproof anymore. If you've got little cracks in it, water's going to seep in and eventually do it in. So, yeah, my friend had gotten this panel shipped to him for an RV electrification off-grid thing. And I'm like, well, measure it. I'll bet it still works. But he's like, yeah, I'm tired of getting shards of glass in my finger every time I go to move it. So he's probably going to throw it out.
I have a little comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to work for a company. We used to make the panels. I used to go buy the cells, and we put together the panels and put them together for a solar system for homes. But yeah, you can probably, the panel might be broken, the glass might be broken, but if the cell is good, you can still be, it can be salvageable. Yeah, so.
Nice.
Yeah, what he wanted to do is just like, oh, I'll just replace the glass and it'll be fine. I'm like, no, I think the electrical business is laminated to the glass itself. Yeah.
Okay, so Anthony, can they still use the panel? What do you say?
Like Kevin's saying, it's probably best to replace it. That's what I would tell a customer if they had broken glass on a panel, but it definitely could still work and go in your guys', tool chest of parts if you need it. So it's yeah, still works, but definitely probably best bet to change it so no one's
well, make it your indoor panel, so that's gonna be any good.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so anybody else have any other solar panel questions?
Ron, the last thing I'll just lead with, I'll say is there's a fun experiment that I did at my own home where I have 3 Tesla Powerwalls and PV on my roof. And I kind of used my house as like the test bed before we launch anything to customers. So I'm always trying things out and just documenting the process and seeing if it's a go or no go in certain things. And I did 33 days off the grid on my home with Powerwalls and solar, and it was just amazing to see it. And this was probably about 4 years ago when we did it, and we could have kept going, except Tesla pushed out a firmware update where I was actually at a solar conference in San Diego. My wife was home, and she was like, Anthony, the entire house is flashing like a disco right now. Like what's happening? And she went in the Tesla gateway, flipped the breaker off and then back on, and everything came back to life. And I constantly go back and forth with Tesla of like what caused it, what happened. But at the end of the day, it was just a software update that got pushed while I was off grid. And it was when these systems really weren't designed for just straight off grid use for that amount of time. It was more time of use or and saving money or just backup for a time period. But we did 33 days off the grid. Since then, I probably couldn't do that because we've done heat pumps, electric cars, and really electrified the home. But it was just a really fun experiment to see what's possible when you what's possible with these systems and what you could do. And now since then I've added a span panel. So now we automate the whole thing so you could try to maximize the use of the Powerwalls for longer time periods and stuff like that.
Which conference was that? I was at InterSolar this past a couple months ago.
So this was at the SunPower Dealer Conference, and it was held at Levi Stadium at the time, that one. And then there was and then we went to San Diego to where I don't know, I forgot where it is. It's just like this really cool convention where they have it's like an island right off the bridge that they have. I wish I could remember the name of it.
Yeah, I think that's it's either Coronado or Fiesta or cool. Yeah. So I was kind of curious. You mentioned you being off grid for 33 days. What are your thoughts on Powerwalls using like NMC chemistry versus lithium phosphate, which is great for charging up, or assumedly great for charging up to 100% every day?
Talik, I probably couldn't answer that question. I haven't gotten down the rabbit hole of the different chemistries. I probably should. I'm more focusing on my own thing, is just like trying to see. I deal with more of the issues with the towns of not allowing Powerwalls in homes and trying to, I guess, take all of the information and make it digestible for homeowners, because there's so much information out there. So for instance, like my engineer, I work with him where I'll go into just touches of information where I have enough to understand it, take that info and make it simpler for the homeowner or the building inspector to understand. But I haven't dove into the new chemistry of the Powerwall. So sorry about that.
No, that's totally fine. But I think that's a pretty good segue into like, how do people get in contact with you? And like, do you have a backlog, or like what are you currently working on that people could utilize you?
Yeah, we're working on all it. If a homeowner is in New York, and we have referral partners in Connecticut and elsewhere, but we're installing from Lake George to Rockland County. So if you're in that territory, you can give us a call. We'll do a design, show you what solar and batteries look like on your home, and yeah, just give you more information. I think that's kind of what we try to do, is just be a resource with our YouTube page and all the info we go, give out, just because there's so much out there and there's so much misinformation on solar. And it's sickening because once you search solar, then you start getting spam from all these different ads. And it's, we just try to be a resource and more consultative with helping people get the information.
So I want to go back a second and just talk about these panels that you talked about, the high efficiency panels. Can you just explain how far we've come? Can you give us like a panel overview? And keep in mind, I understand power comes from these panels, but I was super impressed. We hooked up a panel to just an electric motor and it spun it like, and we had it charging a battery at like 40 amps when we had our whole array up. I just can't believe how much power is coming out of these panels. It's incredible. There's free energy coming in from the sun, but there was definitely like a negative vibe around the older panels. What is the difference? Have we really come a far way? Could you give us like an overview and then highlight this new panel you're talking about?
So the panel I'm talking about has actually been around for quite some time, but the issue is it's been kind of tough to get access to it, and it's always been priced out of the market, that Maxeon technology. Mm-hmm. So when I first got into solar, we were installing like 150s and 180 watt BP solar panels. And, my parents' home in Gardner has 180 watt BP panels on it. And we went through so many different manufacturers, and, those panels were between 16 to 17% efficiency. So right now, our top efficiency panel is like a Maxeon or an REC panel that's coming out around 22.8% efficient, that panel. So it's not like we've had monster leaps and bounds, but in really where the market's moved is from to bigger panels, higher efficiency panels, and getting the cost down on panels have come down tremendously. So like that Maxeon panel that has backside contacts, that was always a much higher priced panel, but over the course of the past 10 years, it's come down significantly where, 50% of our customers are using that panel, and the other percent are using a front side contact panel. So it's come a long way. But I would say the technology has been fairly incremental in what it's been in efficiency wise from 15 to 22. But the panel dimensions have gotten bigger. I mean, the panels we used to be able to pick up with one hand, now they're the size of like garage doors, it feels like. We have commercial projects that we're using 550 watt panels that are monsters.
Well, that's
and
big.
We're like, all right, these are huge. Like, what are we doing here with these panels? And then it's also like safety wise for the guys. Do we want them carrying these kites up a roof that are that big? It's insane. So we try to stick with a panel size. Right now we're at 420 watt panel is what we're using every day. And that's what's going on customers' homes and businesses. And when I think about when I first got into solar, we're at 150 watts. So it's definitely come a far way on the tech side of it, but it's more also, I would say, in the dimensions of it. They've definitely gotten bigger.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because about 19, 20 years ago, my parents actually got some secondhand panels that were 166 watt panels when they were new. And here we are about 20 years later, and a 400 watt panel is like less than $200 now. So it's pretty amazing, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
More efficient, also physically larger, right? And is the physically larger side to make the installation faster?
the physically larger side is more because it's the sexy thing to say a 500 watt panel or a 400 watt panel. So I think the industry is always, I was talking to an engineer at SunPower, and I said, why did we move to a 420 watt panel? And he was saying, because our sales team told us we have to engineer a panel with a higher wattage. And that's just really where it's been going. Just everyone wanting a bigger panel instead of people thinking about, or engineers and teams thinking about, all right, let's get the most efficient panel that we can. And this panel behind me is 360 watts. This was and still is like one of my favorite solar panels. Unfortunately, they stopped making it 2 years ago, but it's, when it came to putting these on roofs or doing designs and configurations, this panel got the most power out of people's roofs, but unfortunately the industry moved away from it because they just wanted a bigger panel. So here it is, this 360 watt panel could fit on a roof better than a 420 watt panel, and you could probably get more power out of the roof with this smaller panel because of the design, the footprint of it.
Yeah, so
Wow.
so we've been talking a lot about watts, but a lot of the factors that go into designing a system are your open circuit voltage. Have you found that the newer panels are kind of messing with those voltage calculations, getting to the box and all that?
So we're using SolarEdge and Enphase microinverters on all of our projects. And yeah, the costs, so the panel pricing has gone down and the microinverter cost has gone up because the microinverters having to keep up with the output of these panels has been the challenge that we're going through. So we just moved to an IQ8X microinverter from Enphase, which is, I believe we're at 360 watts continuous on that microinverter just to keep up with these. But it really hasn't been an issue so much, Talek, because a lot of the homes we're dealing with, this would probably be an issue for Brandon out in San Diego, but in the Northeast, these systems aren't putting out max power. So we're not hitting just like max curves on these systems besides maybe 1 or 2 months out of the year. And it's not that we're getting clipping by any means, but it just hasn't been an issue where we've had to design systems for, orientations that are dead south in the middle of Texas or San Diego. So it hasn't been an issue for us, but probably on the West Coast and other areas, it is.
Nice. I got 5 topics I still want to cover, so let's try and bang these out. Yeah, this is a guideline to wrap it up in about 10-15 minutes, but I think that we can nail this. All right. A lot of things that come up, as far as, because we're coming from like the car space, everyone's asked this question, hey man, why don't we just put some panels on the car? And what is the issue with that? Am I correct? It's just there's not enough surface area to even make a dent on the battery pack, or is there now with more efficient panels? Would you put solar panels on your Ford? What do you think?
I know I really want that new 3-wheeled car that they're coming out with. I forgot what the name of it is.
Oh, the Aptera.
The Aptera. I was like, that thing is sick. And the Aptera has these cells on it too. So it's
for the Aptera, it's because they made the vehicle super efficient. You can go 1,000 miles on 100 kilowatt hours.
Right.
So
yeah. It's definitely not probably cost effective or efficient to do it. No, it's probably, in my opinion, not the most productive thing to do to get panels on a car to make any dent in it. Do I still want to do it? Yeah, I still want to do it for marketing and build one and have it in the front of our office and have, panels on the top of your VW Bug that I could bring around to events and, charge up other cars or do whatever with it. It would be sick to have that, but yeah, probably mass market, not the right thing.
Okay. Why can't we get to the parking spot and then just pull up panels like almost like a satellite and just
Yeah.
fold out
Really?
and self-charge? Why can't we do that?
We should be able to. Who
All
was
right.
it? Tyler that's pulling the engine out of the car right now? Maybe he could do that while he's working on that car right now.
Dude, yeah, Zach. I feel like Zach can pull this
Yeah.
off. So, okay, and I'll get to that. Oh, actually, yeah, there you go, Zach. Actually, we'll do it right now. So,
Hey,
yeah, what's up, Zach,
I'm
man?
sorry. I'm just like listening and working at the same time.
That's all right. Keep it going, man.
I'm about to take off the exhaust pipe.
Did you make any progress?
Yeah, exhaust pipe's coming off real soon.
All right, well, hurry the fuck up, man.
I'm working as hard as I can.
Oh, sorry, that was the East Coast Mr. G slipped out. All right, so okay, so speaking of putting panels on a vehicle, Talik, you want to tell us about Solar Roller? This is a cool thing with a van with panels on the roof and no extra charging. Is that right?
So if you can bring up the website to present while I talk about it. Yeah, Solar Roller, 2 R's, 2 L's. They put solar panels on vehicles, and so I recently filmed their recent delivery to Red Foo out in Malibu, which it's a EV conversion to EV. It was EV, and they upgraded the motor and the batteries, and they have basically roughly 5 kilowatts of solar with 3 arrays, 2 of which pack up for travel. But the roof has about, I think, 1.6 kilowatt. There it is right there. So the roof itself has these, I think they're using light leaf solar, the curved panels. They also designed a van for Route del Sol. He was trying to go from Alaska to the South America, but he lost his panels in the wind in Mexico. But and that's their original bus right there with the blue camper pop up right there. So they started off with that one, and then Red Foo saw them and wanted. Anyway, so there's basically their philosophy is, for camping, you just park for a day or two or the weekend, and you can get about 50 to 80 miles a day off the sun, and you can charge off just that. They also do have onboard chargers, so you can do level 2 as well. And so, in fact, the Red Foo bus that I just filmed can pull in the 5 kilowatt from the sun, as well as another 3 to 6 kilowatt from a J1772 plug. And they also designed it to be a power output, so it's a mobile power station too.
Dude, that's really cool.
But obviously, you got a lot of surface area to deploy, and you're not driving around with these wings out. So it depends on your use case. If you're going to park it there, and their philosophy is to like slow down, man, enjoy nature, charge up, and then go to your next thing.
Anthony doesn't have time for that, man. He's an East Coast guy.
That thing is awesome, though. I saw a YouTube video on it. That's a sweet ride.
Nice. All right. I want to ask you about these panels that you keep talking about, the Maxeon. I don't understand. Like, what is that? What makes them so good? Is there something special?
So the panel has a copper backsheet on it, which basically they run all of their connections through the back of the panel. So when you look at a solar panel, you see all of those connections on the front, and all the solder lines connecting one cell to the next, and so on and so forth. So when you have those lines on the top of a cell, what happens is you're actually blocking the efficiency of the cell. So to use an example, it's basically like if you want to go and get tan, you're not going to lie under a pergola because you're going to look like a zebra after. You're going to have those lines going across, where if you could just have that cell lying directly in sunlight and have all the connections on the back of the cell, that's what gives the panel more efficiency. So this panel, coupled with a Tesla Powerwall, and trying to maximize your longevity when you're out of power and just maximize space available on your roof and deal with obstructions and different things that, just weather happens. That's what I've seen, is just like an amazing pairing of those two things together to just withstand the test of time and get the most out of your backup system, which is, I think, what everyone's trying to do.
Okay. speaking of backup systems, can you tell us a little bit about when I went there, I saw something crazy. I saw you had the Tesla Powerwall version 3.
Yep.
And dude, I don't know what 1 and 2 look like, but I can tell you right now that when you're looking at this thing, it looks like an engineered vehicle. It is a aluminum casting. Are you guys seeing this? It's casted.
I was blown away so this is a Powerwall 2 right behind me. That unit right there, Ron, is just it's like a unibody Powerwall. I'm looking at it and I felt like I was looking at a Cybertruck casting when I'm looking at this thing in the office, because that thing is designed to be in 2.5 feet of water. So basically half that Powerwall could be submerged and providing power to the home. And yeah, that top black vent on the top is literally the air intake for the unit, which looks like a supercharger on the top of the thing. Mm-hmm. And that thing to the right, that black brick right there, is the 6 maximum power point trackers for the inverter that's in there. And it's just a wild unit. They've literally condensed what you need for a solar system into this one box. And right now, New York has when we're able to actually use the full capabilities of this, it's going to be a game changer. And what I mean by that is Tesla came out with a meter socket that basically goes between the meter and it's a buffer. So when you lose power, this socket that Tesla developed literally triggers the Powerwall to supply power to the home. Right now, there's only one utility, I believe, in the state that's allowed it to take place, but we need all of them to adopt it. When all of the utilities adopt it, the ease of installation is going to be unreal. A good friend of mine owns a solar company in Hawaii called Eco Solar, and they're installing solar and batteries in 4 hours for a homeowner because of that. They're able to use that meter socket and have that disconnect be there. Because right now in New York, we have to install transfer switches for all the homes, which are the Tesla gateways, which suck because it's a added cost. It's another $1,000 in equipment. It's another couple hundred in wire and all that. So it's yeah, it's an exciting piece of equipment, and we're doing our first install tomorrow with it. So they're in the homeowner's garage and we're installing them tomorrow on his home. But what I was getting at too is there's no more microinverters. There's no micros for this thing. The inverter's in it. And Tesla came up with these mid-circuit interrupters that go on the roof under the panels, which basically in the event of an emergency where you need to comply with rapid shutdown, you shut the Powerwall down and it kills power coming off the roof, which it's pretty sick. In this video, if you go to the chapter closer to the end where mid-circuit interrupter, you could see a picture of it. And it's just like this little black unit. And it was a little before that, right before there. Yeah, right there. And but it's just basically, it's like the cell phone that plugs under the panel and shuts it down in the event of an emergency. And that's something in New York State that we need to comply with. And yeah, Tesla's just killing it with their engineering team.
Yeah, they're not messing around. It's amazing. And you have a really good YouTube channel with lots of interviews and whatnot, which is kind of cool. People should really check it out. I was watching that interview with your friend from Hawaii that you were talking about. I don't know where I saw that.
Yeah, it's in the top there. So it's in the evolution of the Powerwall to the right there with the 4 Powerwalls. Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool to hear from installers. Now, that's actually a good segue for one of my other topics I wanted to cover, which was kind of like, how did you get into this and what was your motivation?
So we got into it because of our awkward name. We were going to do a solar farm. So the town I grew up in, I was with my dad, and I was like, how cool would it be? It was actually his idea. He's like, what do you think about doing a solar farm? He was retired at the time, and I was just finishing up school. And I was like, yeah, that's such a cool idea. Let's do that. And I went down that rabbit hole of trying to develop one of these back in 2008. And in 2008, there was no community solar farms. There was no field of solar panels anywhere unless they were behind the meter. You were not allowed to put, solar farms up tied to the grid to provide power for the community. And that was our goal. That's what I wanted to do in Gardner, build a 3 megawatt solar farm.
Wow.
So we went down this road. I was beating my head in, trying to work with the utilities to do this. But the utilities, as supportive as they were at that time, they still couldn't allow it because they're governed by the Public Service Commission. And there was way too much red tape. And then the town wound up putting a moratorium in place not to build these. And it was just a culmination of things. And I said, you know what, screw this. We could put these on people's homes. And in 1 year, we could do enough homes that equal one solar farm. And that's what got us into doing this and putting money on homes. Yeah.
So that sounds like it's sort of going the path of like, microgrids or community grids. Yeah.
Yeah. It was at that time, there was no battery storage or anything. So it was straight solar to the grid. And trying to almost like a feed-in tariff style is what the concept I was thinking of at the time. I saw that was happening in Germany. I was like, let's do something similar here. Obviously, that model wasn't the best and it didn't pan out over time, but that was the only resource I had, was to use that as an example at the time for the utility. But now, I think if I was to do a community solar project, it would probably be in the 300 kW range with storage, and do a little microgrid and just do more bigger style distributed systems if I was to do that model again, because the bigger model, you just catch way too much resistance. A lot of homeowners that don't know what's going on, even if it's out of sight, out of mind, they're really tough to get through planning boards. And that's why a lot of the companies doing them now are more bank style investment funds that are building these projects. You don't see too many small developers building solar farms.
Okay. Speaking of solar farms, I got just one or two more questions. So, all right, I got a crazy idea that it just seems logical, but I've never tried it. You have surface area on a property. Okay. But you're putting the panels on the roof. Have you ever thought about just putting mirrors on the property and aiming the mirrors at the panels? Is that nuts?
I mean, that's like concentrated photovoltaics right there. So that's, it's not nuts. It's just, I know. So for instance, we just did an install for a dentist office in Poughkeepsie, close to an airport. To get that solar system approved, we had to actually buy a software to show that our solar panels are not going to create a glare that's going to knock a plane out of the sky. So if I was to put mirrors up on solar panels, I would be shot in some of these towns that we work in. So it's a cool idea for my backyard, but not for
okay.
Probably
Okay.
There was another thing I saw. It was I don't know if it was Ford was pursuing this back when they had the little hatchback plug-in hybrid. I forget what they called that. But they had like a solar carport with like magnifying to make each cell collect more of a wide range to each cell to like it was some sort of carport design. Instead of reflecting, it was like little lenses over each square of solar.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of new ideas out there. All right, well, we're hitting the 45-minute kind of wrap-up time, so we got a couple minutes to wrap up. But I mean, actually, it's like super exciting talking to you about this. You seem to know the history of the evolution of the panels, the install, the laws, the practicality of it. You had a big dream. You turned it into a practical dream, which turned out to be bigger than the original dream. We're really proud of you, man. This is a great thing you're doing. And very glad that you joined us here. If other people still have questions, you got a couple minutes to jump in, give us some last minute questions. But the last question, and just raise up your hand or jump in. But the last question I wanted to ask. Oh, here we go. We got Zach's got a question. Zach, go ahead before I ask my last question.
Hey, Anthony, thanks for the presentation. I was just wondering if you guys do EV chargers, because I might have a project for you in New Jersey.
So we don't cover Jersey, unfortunately. We do them in New York all the time, but yeah, sorry, Zach, but appreciate you thinking about us for that.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
It's a
All
different
right.
union. It's a different organization, different codes.
Yeah.
It is different codes out there. I'm actually licensed, but to put up solar in Jersey, you have to put the panels on you put the racking up, and then you have to have the inspector come out, look at the racking, and then you could put your panels on the roof. So it's just amazing. I used to work in Connecticut, and each state has such different rules for solar. That's where we really just focused on New York and getting good at it here, because it's wild, some of the things that the inspectors require in different territories.
Gotcha. The project I'm thinking of, they already have solar panels on the roof, so that's taken care of. But the kind of like the natural next step is to pair that with EV chargers. I don't know if like the laws are that much different per state for EV charging as well, but yeah, I'd love to connect and just learn from you more.
Absolutely, Zach, for sure.
Sounds good. And as everybody, oh yeah, Tyler, you got a question? Go for it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you had to explain to like towns and customers like misconceptions and like explain how the solar stuff works. Like, what's like one of the biggest misconceptions or like pieces of info you wish everyone knew, like right out the gates?
I
Good
think
question.
it is a great question, because I think that you want everyone to know that it works and it's not a scam. And I think that's the hard part about it, is people see all of these ads for free solar, and I would want them to know it's not free, and I would want them to know it works. So I'd want those two things to be known, so they give it a shot and understand what it is. And I think there's also a ton of YouTube videos of like these influencers that go solar, and they always use these different national companies as examples for pricing models and this. And I guess just really having them understand how important it is to go local with a company that knows the rules and the jurisdiction, know that it works, and know that solar is not free, and there's no scam behind it, besides, yeah, just the misinformation of free solar panels everywhere.
Jonathan Knight, great question. Jonathan Knight's got a question.
Yeah, Anthony, thanks a lot. I'm wondering, like, do you get involved at all, like, with state politics in terms of policy and how things are going, or just following that? I know it's, it's an evolving area for policy.
It is evolving. We're part of New York Solar Energy Industries Association, so that's kind of my involvement with it. And we'll help support different things that are going on. We had a big issue. Every 2 years there's something that happens. We have a CBC charge, a solar tax that they put in place 2 years ago that we all fought against as installers throughout the state. And then before that, there was they're getting rid of net metering for commercial projects. So for sure, I'll go up to Albany to different events and try to push wherever I can. Yeah.
Okay, I got a follow-up question. I know we're running long now, but is there a way you could summarize net metering, but like in a 1-minute version?
So it's different in every state. I know New Jersey has SRECs, I believe, but in New York, for example, if you buy a kilowatt hour for 20 cents, the utility company, when you produce that kilowatt hour, will credit you 20 cents.
Oh, I got it.
So it's just a swap. It's a credit for credit swap. But right now, California is on NEM 3. They no longer have that swap. Yeah. And Hawaii lost it years before that, and that's where Tesla came in there and saved the market, because they needed battery storage. And that's when I got into battery storage, because I know one day New York's going to lose net metering, and we got to be prepared when it happens.
So if you store it and buy it and use it from yourself, See, because if you make it and sell it for half what you just paid for it when you need it, then it's yeah. So you definitely want to store it as much as possible, unless they're right. I got it.
Yeah. The cool thing is right now in New York, you don't need to store it because the grid is storing it for you and you're getting full retail. But there's going to be a day that comes when they're going to get rid of it and everyone's going to need battery storage to go with their solar.
Yeah.
Yeah. California's basically made it that on net metering 3, the only way to make it make sense is that you have to have a battery. Otherwise you're selling like 1/10 of,
It sucks.
With net metering, like the way it's supposed to be, my power rates change in time of day and all that. So am I supposed to be getting, if I'm buying it between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. at 66 cents a kilowatt, do I sell it back at 66 cents a kilowatt, or are they giving me the cheap rate? That's like, it's never been able to be, I never figured this out.
Are you in New Jersey or?
No, I'm in California.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm on metering too. They make all of this so complicated and so difficult to understand. An electrical engineer can't figure it out.
You're totally right. That it's frustrating. It's totally frustrating. And yeah, I've never dealt with a utility bill on the West Coast, but I mean, if you're producing that power during the day and sending it back, I would have to, and if you're in NEM 2, they should be giving you the highest value retail credits for that power. So I don't know what you're locked into or what they have you at, but that's the way you think. I would think it should work out there, but only.
Yeah. And also, it depends on which one you got stuck on, but also net metering without a battery is kind of what sort of created our duck curve, where we have so much solar generation during the day, but the demand is kind of average. And so at some points and some days we have more generation than there is demand. And so that's made it really cheap, even though we're not buying it for cheap during that time. But it really should be, like at some points, California has so much solar in the grid, we don't have enough places to put it. So we really need more batteries. I would argue we need more grid level batteries to soak up a lot of the commercial solar, but that's a whole nother topic. So
yeah.
I know one of the reasons, the political reasons why
energy generation. Well, you have that,
Kevin, go ahead.
And you raise it up really high. That's your battery. Instead of an electrical battery, you're using kinetic energy. So I've heard of places they pump water up to a higher reservoir, use the energy then, and then use the hydroelectric to get it back during the other times. Same thing with, because batteries are super expensive and they take up a lot of space. Can you have other ways to store energy, whether it's water or big weights or what? So.
Okay, Jonathan, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a really good idea, Kevin. That's pretty cool. But
yeah, something like flywheels. You can spin up flywheels during the times when the energy is cheap, and then let them run a generator at other times.
Yeah, but I know one of the reasons politicians in California were eventually got rid of the net metering is just because the utilities had to jack up prices for everyone who didn't have solar, because so many people have solar on their houses and they were basically getting free energy and not paying the utilities. The utilities were losing money, so they just, they're greedy. They jacked up the prices on everyone else.
Jonathan, how dare you? Come on.
What's really cool is in Vermont, seeing that virtual power plant model and what they're doing in Texas too, where your batteries could backfeed to the grid and support the grid during different times of the day when the grid needs it. And, we talked to our utilities on the East Coast about it and they're like, what are you talking about? Like we're so far away from it. At times you're just mind boggled that they're not with it to get with the power plants and you're just shaking your head.
The internet doesn't cross coastlines,
All right, I really appreciate everybody being here. Let's wrap it up with one big question for Anthony. Where is this all going? Like, give me your 10 years, like a decade from now, what's it all going to look like?
I think, I could speak for what I'm doing and on an everyday basis. I think it's going to go to every home having solar and having a battery for backup storage. And I think it's just going to keep evolving. And I'm hopeful that it might become what the cell phones, where it's just distributed solar, where everyone's mobile, creating their own power, having their own microgrids at their home. I think we're getting closer and closer to it. We're definitely getting closer to every home having a battery coupled with their solar, because every event I go to now that were just solar events are now, it feels like they're just battery storage events, now. So it's just, the market has moved away from solar, and it's on solar plus battery storage, solar plus smart home automation, bi-directional charging with your car. It's just, it seems like it's moving in the direction that you want it to move in. The issue is just getting the policy out of the way. And Tesla's doing that in some regards with, being able to put heat mode in batteries now, so we could put them outside of people's homes and get around regulations. But yeah, we need like better codes so we could just electrify more homes and not have to deal with so many issues on that side of things. Because, in our company, we have one person just dedicated to fighting the towns on a daily basis to get solar.
Wow, interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's balance, to everything. So you chicken or the egg, you have government and capitalism, and the two help each other. One moves forward, then the other one checks it, and and vice versa. And so there is a balance to all this. I can't resist. What role? One more question. What role do the cars play in all this? I mean, you got these cars rolling around with like close to 100 kilowatts. Is that going to be the backup for your house?
I mean, you would think so. I have 3 Powerwalls, and I'm over 30, kilowatt hours of backup storage. But I have, in my driveway, a Lightning and a Model Y with over probably 200 kilowatt hours of storage sitting out there. So it'd be nice to use that. I think having the bi-directional charging is going to be part of it moving forward. It's just getting it all to work together is really hard on the technical side. So even if you have these things fully dialed in, like even looking at the YouTube video State of Charge, when he had the bi-directional charging set up for his Ford Lightning, it's you really have to work with good electricians and tradesmen to get these things installed properly. And that's what I see as being one of the key things of getting it all to work.
Is the tradespeople.
Yeah.
And maybe the shop classes, high school shop classes, teaching people how electricity works. All right. Perfect. Okay. This has been amazing. What I think we could do is end the recording so it's digestible on a short podcast. But then if people want to hang out for a little bit, we can kind of taper off as you guys get busy. All right. Great guest, Anthony. That was awesome. New York State Solar. We know how to get in contact with you. Talik, what do you got?
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody watching this after tonight to make sure you like this. Leave a comment of what was your favorite topic we talked about and what you'd like to see us talk about in the future for future episodes.
Bam. Well said. All right. Thanks for everybody being here. What CNC are you running?
It's a little Shoreline, but I made my own driver for it using a Raspberry Pi and a Proto Engineering Pi hat for it, so I can drive the stepper motors.
Okay.
And right now I'm just writing code by hand because I gotta do this weird trim pattern on these parts. So
nice.
That's it.
What are you cutting? What are you gonna cut?
A bunch of battery cases. There's little battery cases. So.
All right. Yep. All right. Talik, you got a question?
I was just saying, battery cases for what, Johnny?
Oh yeah, what's the battery case? Okay, this is all proprietary stuff.
Johnny, can you give us an update on the Beetle?
Yeah. Can you see it over there in there?
Yeah, we gotta see it. I like the door, the little trap door that kind of looks aviation style.
There we go. Yeah. That thing, I just put another clear coat on it, so it's pretty shiny right now. Let me
nice.
Yeah, show them the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It's an actual.
Oh, wow, there you go.
It's an aircraft latch.
HPEDS.
Here, let me try and walk my this thing over there.
Did I put my blind welds on there at some point?
So there's the door.
There you go. Wow, that's kind of cool looking. Are those rivets?
Yeah. No, they're just little bolts. So I did that because
Okay.
these things don't have a gas door, and I was like, well, I want a charge port, so I cut a hole in it, and then it's just a little AC50 I painted red.
Nice. That looks cool. It's kind of a muted red. What kind of paint is that? Is that a special like high temp or something?
Special Home Depot paint.
Okay. There we go.
It's just freaking Rust-Oleum.
Dude, you're getting Anthony excited. Anthony, I feel like you need a conversion.
Dude, you guys are getting me fired up to like go do something. Like I'm ready I've wanted to convert something. So
I feel like you need a New York State conversion vehicle, like a winter. What about who does your snowplow for your little parking lot there? That's got to be EV, man.
You can look at Luxy.
Oh yeah, dude, this is a Tesla motor in a small pickup truck with a custom axle. Kind of looks like a C-clamp, and this is the motor, and it just moves around it like that. And it's got a i3 battery pack. Johnny, you want to tell us a little more about it?
Does that thing just wheelie? Is it?
You get enough weight in the bed. Yeah, there's it.
Yeah, show them the bumper too. You just added that.
Yeah, the whole guy.
So Luxy's gonna tow now.
Yep.
We're gonna do a tow test soon.
Super cool. You've been driving this for a while, like almost 2 years now, right?
Like a year. Let's
Year
see.
and a half.
Year and a half, something like that.
Wow.
It's on its second motor now.
Oh yeah.
The third one.
And then Johnny, what's your dad working on?
Oh, he's got a Nash Metropolitan. He's doing a Nissan Leaf motor in.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, awesome.
I don't want to walk too far.
Holy quick.
Let me see.
Yeah.
I think I could hang on.
That's super cool.
I gotta carry a bunch
Anthony, Johnny's got skills, man. He'll program it, he'll machine it, he'll weld it. And that truck was a pretty good, like a performance truck at some point. And it's kind of like Miyagi-san's yard from Karate Kid. He's just got all that.
Yeah.
I feel that way because especially right outside his gate is almost the same exact truck.
Yeah.
There's the Nash. And it's got I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a Leaf motor in there.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of hard to see.
Wow. And did you do the same Dion axle?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Oh, that was my airplane.
Oh, dude. This
Undercover.
is a secret. This is Skunkworks, man. Don't lift the cover.
Yeah.
This
That's
is some
expensive.
Skunkworks. Anthony's tripping out. He's like, what is this?
This is Willy Wonka's factory right here. This is crazy.
Oh.
Johnny, so one of the things we talked about with Anthony, Johnny, don't walk away yet. Show him the cracked panels. Show him the cracked panels.
There you go. Which panels?
Show him the cracked ones that,
Yeah, let me try.
because we talked about cracked glass, but we didn't talk about panels that were left out in a field for too long. You might not be able to see it on camera.
If you see it or not.
Yeah.
There's spider webbing.
Yeah.
Or let me see if I can get close enough to it.
Is the cell fractured or just the glass?
The cell itself. You see that line right?
Oh, yeah.
Right about there.
Yeah.
I got a lot of these cells like that.
It's like
they call it.
I know there was a lot of defects coming from different panel manufacturers. They called them like snail marks, where it just looks like it's just a snail went across the cell and cracked it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Huh.
But
Why does it
supposedly,
crack like that? Why is that pattern developed?
it's usually cheaper cells that crack like that. That might or it was damaged or pushed on. If you walk on a panel or push on the top, it'll happen over time.
Well, basically, Johnny, you got them from a friend that had them like sitting. They were not hooked up, right? And they were sitting out in the sun for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just sitting out in the sun and not hooked up to anything. So
they were just frying and not putting the energy anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, I have a kind of dumb question. Do the panels get cooler when you use the energy from them?
They should. You would think they do. I know different tests when we're, I'm not 100% sure on that. That's a good question, Rob.
Like a Peltier cooler chip.
Yeah.
It's all related. Richard, what do you got? You showed us something?
Yeah, I just picked this up last Saturday. It's going to be a new project. I don't know if you can see it. I was trying to figure out how to show a picture, but I don't know if you can get it from the video camera.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
72 Super Beetle. It's already had a lot of suspension work done. It's sort of been lowered, slammed down a little bit. And
net gain motor, right?
Yeah, well, I have all the components from our VW Doka still in the garage. So 9-inch DC, I have DC motor controller, I have Tesla charger with the open source adapter in it, 6 kilowatt charger, all the J1772 inlets and stuff. Got my little ECU and all that, display. So anyway, we'll throw all that in here just to get the parts out of my garage and into something that moves. And maybe get a Hyper 9 if I find a deal on one from somebody who's abandoned a project. But let me know if you hear of one.
Cool.
Because it'll go on the same adapter plate as the 9-inch warp, I believe, right? You can switch them out on the same adapter plate.
I think it's all the B face. I think all the B faces fit together. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'd have to double check. Yeah, cool.